She's Katy Montgomery. He's Justin Joseph. These best friends are serving subpoenas to bad advice weekly with Wrong Way Forward. Now, here's Katy and Justin.
Oh, goodness. Hey, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Wrong Way Forward. Katy and I were just talking because she's a little shiny in her left eye. And I said, have you been crying? And she said, well, here's what happened. And I'm like, actually, I don't want to know. And she's like, I wasn't crying, you asshole. Anyway, this week's episode, we're talking about, am I a Karen? Katy, what does that mean to you?
Well, I mean, I think when I think of Karen, I think of the most famous Karen case, which is the woman who accosted the bird watcher in Central Park, who was just nasty, mean, entitled, add racist in there. That's what I think of Karen. I also think of something that I saw on Instagram maybe about a year ago where a woman was going through the Taco Bell drive-thru and they got her order wrong. She parked her car, marched up to the drive-through window, and the only way I could describe it is went absolutely apeshit. So I think about those examples of Karen, very extreme. But I think what's going to be interesting today is what is the true definition of a Karen? And have we been a Karen? And what is the wrong way and right way forward? I guess when you have a complaint, when you have an issue, what is the appropriate way to handle that? Justin, do you think you may be a Karen?
Well, I'd like to refer everyone back to the very first episode where I exhibited what could be arguably described as Karen behavior. Having said that, when you talked about Karen coming into this, I always have immediately tied Karens to racism, and that's probably why I have such a bad connotation of it, and that's really not what it is. Do you agree?
It's not. I mean, in fact, let me just put on my trusty readers and.
So you look like a Karen. So you can rip them off when you make a point.
Well, Karen is typically one of the definitions is that they are middle age. So the readers definitely signify middle age. So the definition that I find is Karen is a pejorative slang term typically used to refer to a middle-class woman who is perceived as entitled or excessively demanding. The term is often portrayed in memes depicting middle-class white women, I think that's maybe where the race issue comes in, who use their whiteness and class privilege to demand their own way. But what I found is there's generally 5 common kind of elements or that you see among these kind of Karen episodes. One is weaponized entitlement. This is the belief that the person's comfort outweighs the rights, the time, and the dignity of everyone else.
Is that like a class argument? Like I'm a better class than you are?
I just think that it's like how I feel and my comfort and the fact that I am secure is more important than your rights, your time, and your dignity.
Okay.
It's that I trump you. The next one is the neighborhood watch syndrome. This is the person who's the self-appointed, unpaid policewoman. You see this where it's like, this is the person who's a nightmare in the HOA. She's going in and she's kind of self-righteous indignation, just checking every kind of detail. She's hyper vigilant. The next one is escalation as a hobby. This is someone who just, even a cold French fry, they will escalate something up. It's like their passion. The other ones are selective rule following. These are people that expect everyone to follow these rules, but they may not apply to them. And then last but not least, which I think is one of the things that really kind of drives me the craziest, is intellectual inflexibility. And that is they are immune to logic, data, or common sense. They are such a victim of the situation. They are not up for being kind of evidence-based. And so I think when we think about that, I'd like to think that I don't operate as a Karen, though I know that there are some times when I have not acted with the best intentions or with the kindest tone and language with people who are in the service industry.
Yeah, see, that's surprising to me. I can't see you. I mean, I know that you stand up for yourself, but I can't see you. Can you give me an example of sometime you've stood up for yourself or been bordering on Karen behavior? I mean, I can give you 30 off the top of my cup.
I know. And the show's not long enough to walk through those. I mean, this is what I think is why we need to be curious is why is someone exhibiting, Karen behavior? Why are they acting entitled? Why are they escalating, issues? Why are they intellectually inflexible? I mean, it's being curious about why they're like that. The most recent example I can think of is when my father passed away, I was handling the estate. And people who know me, I hope would define me as generous, but also fiscally responsible and
Very.
sometimes could be cheap. And my father had a lot of American Express points. And, there were bigger issues at play here in terms of the estate. But for some reason, I was fixated on those.
You wanted him?
Well, I didn't want him to go.
What are we
to
talking about?
waste.
We're talking about millions? I mean, like, I know points are a big thing in divorces. That's also in estate planning as well.
I mean, Justin, it really doesn't matter how many points there were. It was just, I wanted them.
The viewers
And
want to know.
I called American Express, and I felt as though the person was patronizing me. I exited my father's home, and I walked in circles around the backyard, and I ripped this poor guy in the middle of nowhere every new asshole that I could. And then I asked to speak to the manager, and I ripped his asshole 10 times to nowhere. And I think in retrospect, I was frustrated. I do think that they didn't handle it like,
Your father just died.
My father's like, but that was on me. I think there was a lot of projection and lack of control and lack of filter because of the circumstances. And I wonder are these Karens just fundamentally assholes, or are they hurting?
Oh, that's a really, really good question. On that note, let's take it to the advice column this week. And so this is what gave us the idea to do this column. So this person wrote into Dear Abby, and the question was, so quick backstory. I'm 21, a Midwestern transplant living in deep South Georgia, and I'm not smile through everything kind of Midwestern. I'm not the smile through everything. Got it. Let me repeat that. And I'm not the smile through everything kind of Midwesterner. I'm blunt. I've learned to put a polite, I'm not mad grin, but I don't apologize to make people comfortable. I'm at lunch with a friend who loves calling me a Karen. The place is dead, 4 tables total, and we wait for 45 minutes for 2 cold, soggy sandwiches. I don't want to send it back. I just want to pay and leave. The waitress asks, is everything good? And I smile and say, no, it kind of sucked. Can I get the check? She gets the manager. He asks what's wrong. I calmly tell him because, again, he asked, and my friend is horrified. Now, every time we go out, he begs me not to be a Karen. Am I a Karen, or am I just in the wrong zip code? And Abby wrote back. Well, what was funny is everybody wrote back. I forget the 3 letters, and I only put but everybody thought she was a Karen in this situation. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I think what's interesting is she says at the beginning, I'm blunt and I don't apologize to make people comfortable. So this person clearly has an edge, and she's not apologizing for it. She's not making any excuses. And, and I think if we were to argue, is blunt, is blunt a positive adjective by which to describe your communication style? I would say probably no. It does sound a little entitled, and then going back to those kind of requirements, it does look a little bit like intellectual inflexibility. Like I'm not going to apologize to make anyone else comfortable, which leads me to believe she's putting her comfort first, right? And
I have no problem with putting your comfort first. I guess it's someone else's expense maybe, but I think that that's just life anymore is people. And if you don't, you're going to get ran over. If you're not thinking about yourself first in most situations anymore, the world will run you over.
Well, you're going to get ran over, Justin.
What does that mean?
Really bad English.
When I said the world will run you over, it should be the world will ran you over.
I was like, you need to go hang out with this Karen down in that.
Wait, what did I say that's wrong? You're going to get run over? You're going to get ran over? That's what it's supposed to be?
No, you said ran over. Nobody.
Oh.
I'm going to get ran over.
You're going to get yourself ran over.
You need to go hang out with this Karen in her podunk town where they serve bad sandwiches. Here's the thing. Would I say that this rose to a level of a Karen? No. But I think what she is missing is, if her real intention was, I just wanted to get out there and pay, what was the point of saying it really sucked? I think this is someone who has some righteous indignation and doesn't have a filter. So I wouldn't, again, according to those kind of five, kind of qualities that tend to be kind of present for a Karen, I wouldn't necessarily it rises to the level of Karen, but I really would love to kind of deep dive with her to be like, if you wanted to pay and get out and it's a small town and you didn't want to make your dining companion uncomfortable, why did you pursue this? And why is it such a sense of pride that you're being so blunt? I think this is somebody, it's really interesting when your best friend is saying you're a Karen and you're not processing that. I think that's in and of itself saying something.
Let me ask you this. Would it have changed your opinion if she would have said something besides the sandwich sucked? If she would have said, I was really disappointed that the food was delayed and it was mediocre, quality?
Yeah.
What's the difference?
I think that it's all in the delivery, right? So when you say to someone, well, it just really sucked, they get defensive, they get uncomfortable, they get scared. It's no longer a productive conversation.
Because I can see it right in my eyes how you would have said. You would have said, I love you, but this really sucked. That's how you would have done it. Am I wrong?
I think I probably would have said is I love coming in here, and I really enjoy this restaurant. Today it was a little disappointing because it was 45 minutes late. It was something going on. It would be great, if next time, it wasn't such a delay. What would you have done, Justin?
Well, hold on. But this is my favorite thing about Katy, because when we were in college, we called it the Montgomery Grip. She would come up to you. And she would come up and she'd just give you a little nudge right here, like, how are you? And she'd grab you right here just to let you know that she was thinking of you. Like, how are you? And then she would rip right into you. This is cute. What is this? Take it off. Something like that. So she would have done the Montgomery Grip verbally to the sandwich people, like, I love this place, but the food really sucked. Something like that. I hate that I give you this Southern accent.
I know. First of all, I do not sound like that. And number two, Justin, it was so funny. I was looking through kind of some of our clips, and there's the famous one of yours is like, I will always use manipulation. You're having me come off as a manipulator. I don't think. Let's be fair. I don't think that's
you don't think you're
intention.
at all having manipulation. Now yours is more just right in your face.
Everybody manipulates at some time. I just wouldn't define. I wouldn't say one of my leading characteristics is that I am manipulative.
Okay, well, we'll definitely discuss this on the other side of the break. Coming back, we're going to talk about the things that you can differentiate that you're not a Karen, the 5 characteristics that if you're doing these, you are not a Karen, and we'll apply these to the situation. We'll also talk about how I would have handled it if I would have handled it any differently. We're also going to tackle some viewer emails from last week's episode of our Dry January or Drink Less January. So we'll have all of that on the other side. We'll be right back.
You've been listening to Wrong Way Forward, where bad advice goes to die and then gets resurrected just so we can roast it again.
If you're enjoying the chaos, hit like and subscribe and come back every Thursday for new episodes.
Have a new topic or some disastrously bad advice you want to dissect? Email wrongwayforwardpodcast@gmail.com. Include your contact info.
Now back to Wrong Way Forward.
Roasting the worst advice ever. Welcome back to the Katy and Justin podcast.
Hi, everyone, and we're back. And I think it's now time for Justin to be kind of in the hot seat. And Justin, what would you have done in this case? Do you think she's being a Karen?
No, I don't think she's being a Karen. And, I'm always a big fan of just go to the top. I don't waste time with the people at the middle level. I will give them one chance. Like, can you check where our food is? Blah, blah, blah. The food's not here. Okay, we're done. Moving on.
Justin, that's escalation as a hobby. That's an example.
No, it's just if you want results, you go to the person who gets you results. So I'm not mean. I'm like, you know what? Let me just talk to your manager. I do it on the phone. When I get someone on the phone, I give them one chance to solve my problem. If they can't, I'm moving on. I don't have time to deal with them and hear all of their nonsense. So I would have gone right to the top, and I would have provided honest feedback and said, this is, totally unacceptable. We've been here for 45 minutes for a sandwich. If you knew you were going to be 45 minutes, we should have known up front so that we could have made different arrangements. Unacceptable. Check, please. Take care of the check, whatever. Now, on that note, there are 5 things that you can apply to any situation that would suggest you are not a Karen if you are. These are the 5 rules that one person put out there. When you answer honestly when asked for feedback, I totally answer honestly when asked for feedback. Do you?
I do. I don't think I'm dishonest. I try, not always, but I try to be kinder in the delivery, and I hope because of that, it will be more likely heard and absorbed.
And I think you're really good at that. That is, you can deliver the meanest sentence ever with just a nice delivery. You're a horrible, awful person, and you should die.
Justin, I tell you that very often.
The second characteristic is stay calm and don't raise your voice. I am really 50-50 on this.
Yes, I would agree with that. I am too. I mean, it's hard to keep the voice calm and at a reasonable level.
And if you can master that art, you can win anything, because I can feel it coming up in me and the tenseness, and my voice follows right behind that. And if you can master the stay calm and don't raise your voice, you can say the exact same thing and have the exact same argument, and you win more often. I suck at that. Don't insult or demean anyone. I probably am a 95% person that I don't do that. There are definitely some times.
Yeah, I don't think you insult. I think you do that as soon as we get in the car or behind closed doors. But I think to their face, no, I actually think that is not an issue for you.
Yeah, I don't think that is. Don't demand freebies or punish staff. Never, ever have I ever done that.
That is hysterical, because I have a friend. This is a friend that you're aware of. Y'all have had a run-in. She is the queen of asking for a freebie or a consolation prize or, something to make up for the issue.
Like, give me an example of what this person would want, like free dinner?
I mean, like if we're at a hotel, it could be a credit. If it's somewhere else, it could be an alternative. I mean, like it's really pretty amazing. And her delivery is so good. And I am literally just cringing, like, don't ask. And I would say 9 times out of 10, she's successful.
I think it reduces the power of your argument. The minute you bring in money into it, it reduces the strength of your conviction. Like, this was wrong. I don't care that you can make it right. It was wrong. I want nothing to do with you. But if you want to give me a $15 credit, I'll have something to do with you.
No, I disagree. I have had a horrible issue with Amazon because they are doing so many deliveries in our neighborhood. And I think sometimes they're just like, we're going to dump everybody's packages on this street at this one place, And finally, they did it 3 times in a row. And I'm like, Amazon does not care about me. There is no relationship there. If they lose me, they will continue to be fine, right? And so I have pushed on I'd like a credit. There has to be some kind of compensation for this. Well, so I have asked for that.
And I think it's different when you're dealing with a corporation, right?
Yes.
I mean, than a person. 9 times out of 10, whenever you're in a Karen situation, you're dealing with a specific person. And the fact that you're being a Karen probably has something to do with the fact that this person has no power in the situation.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that we often forget. Like, this person has no power, no agency, and absolutely, no sway to change the situation. So when you're taking it out on those people, it's cruel.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, what's the 5th one, Justin?
The 5th one is simply advocate for yourself and then move on. So it's answer honestly, stay calm, don't insult, don't demand freebies, and advocate for yourself and move on. And they call this assertiveness and not Karen-ness.
Yeah, and I mean, when I coach people, I talk all the time about there's a fine line between being assertive and aggressive, right?
Oh, oof, that line for me is wiki.
It is. Are we on this side? Are we on this side?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, being blunt, probably not making eye contact, not treating that person as an individual human and saying, well, it sucked. I don't think that necessarily, she's not cleared of all 5 of those elements.
I agree. What's funny is Josh and I have we used to, because we have knocked it out. It's like I'm training the dog, my new dog, not to bark. And so I have a vibration collar on her. And so when she barks, she go quiet and vibrate. So we had to knock one behavior out with Josh. I did not have a vibrating collar, but I had aggressiveness. We would go into a situation where I would become assertive, and he would back me off right in front of the person, the person I was coming after. He'd be like, "Oh, he doesn't mean that," my focus would go whoop. Like, did you just say that in front of them? And so he's just such a nice person. He always wants to reduce the tension, and he'll be like, "Oh, it's fine. It's fine." I'm like, "No, it is not fine." Anyway, so.
Well, I think the interesting, what came to me is that it's like, what is assertive to you might register as rude, mean, and inconsiderate to Josh, right? Yeah. I mean, there's a spectrum. And so I think what's interesting is the conversation is like, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, your 5 is his 10. And I think it's understanding, again, this is going back, what makes him uncomfortable, and you're being aware of that. And how
Well, I
can you
agree.
temper it and still be your true self?
Okay, now we're in a counseling session for me, which is fine. But what my biggest issue was, like, I don't care that you may be absolutely right that my behavior was inappropriate and unacceptable. You just never, ever, ever, as my husband, do that in front of anyone. I don't care whether I'm the worst person and the wrongest person in the world, the most wrong person in the world. Is that better? You just never take me on, and because you've taken their side over me, and that to me is unforgivable.
Yeah, I think it would be different if he said to the service person, oh, my husband's a real jerk, just ignore him. Or if he said, Justin, your behavior
That
is
would be
unacceptable.
divorced.
I think if he's saying, oh, don't worry about it, I think you need to kind of revisit that.
Okay, this will have to be a future episode, because that is.
But can we agree, Justin, that based on the kind of definition of a Karen and that weaponized entitlement, escalation as a hobby, selective rule following, and intellectual inflexibility with a tinge of racism is completely the wrong way forward?
Completely the wrong way forward. And we have agreement. 18 minutes into the show, we finally have agreement on something on season 2, episode 3, or whatever we're on. All right, so we're going to take some viewer emails this week. As you know, last week we talked about Drink Less January. There was discussion of magnets on refrigerators, and that really set some people off. And so I got this one. Oh, actually, there was also discussion of Spanx. Hi, Katy. Men's Spanx, if you remember. Hi, Katy and Justin. First of all, RIP to Justin's dignity when Katy hit him with, "Welcome to the life of a woman." I laughed so hard I inhaled my own mascara. Second, Justin describing fat rolling out of the sides of men's Spanx is the most educational content I've heard in all of 2026.
There you go. Well, let's see. I've got one. Let's say here. Justin, I say this with love as a fan of the show. Your take on Dear Abby letter made me shout at my car speakers. The idea that you should just be honest and tell a partner that they need to lose 30 to 50 pounds is totally the wrong way forward. Katy is 100% right. Shame is a terrible motivator. And this is what I love. This person...
Shame's a terrible motivator.
But this person did a little research. Are you ready? They're going to give us a stat. According to a study published in the journal Obesity, that's what an issue it is. There's a whole journal dedicated to it. Weight discrimination and fat shaming actually lead to increased weight gain and a higher risk of remaining obese over time because of the stress and cortisol levels that Katy mentioned. Katy, keep being the voice of empathy. Justin, listen to Katy on the kindness over bluntness rule for 2026.
All right. Well, I love our viewers. Our viewers are very smart people and they see everything, but we can still disagree with them. I just wish some of our viewers would start just writing us in saying, I want to be on the show and take you on. Well, let's have some live viewer emails, people. All right, here's another one I got. Katy, talking about 6 mini adventures. You all remember last week, Katy said that her New Year's resolutions, 1 big idea, 6 mini adventures, 4 better habits. Katy said, talking about 6 mini adventures made me break out in hives. I don't need 6 mini adventures. I need 1 large nap and a small refund. Also, Katy saying she would do social media while delivering a 10-minute tutorial about an Instagram guy I'm married to. A Spanx lady is extremely online behavior. Oh, my Lord. That's
well, mind you, I came up with that content prior to my New Year's resolution. So people need to check it and kind of understand that there is a timeline.
All right. This one also, thank you, Justin. Thanks for representing the lump on a law community. Oh, God. I think I'd like to fire this viewer. No, I'm kidding. That's actually a male. That's surprising. Trevor, I don't know who Trevor is, but that's surprising. I thought that would be female. Okay, moving on. All right. Well, any other viewer emails from you, Katy?
No, I think that's it. But I do want to say that I did get quite a few texts from something that we did in 2025 when we both admitted we were chronic bedwetters. And I'd like to say, we both talked about all the shame that was around that. It's kind of crazy. People are coming out of the woodwork now that we're in our 50s, and there's like, who cares if you piss the bed at 13? Let me tell you, there's quite a few of us. There should be like an alumni group, like former bedwetters.
Didn't you say bedwetters are smarter people? Didn't you in that episode, didn't you say something like that?
I mean, I got to look up that stat, but Sarah Silverman, the comic and actress, was a bedwetter. And I think she might, I need to double confirm, but she was the one who said that there's like a higher incidence of intelligence among bedwetters.
Oh, God. More Karens among us. All right, we'll be back right after this. We're going to take up the final, something I've been trying to do for weeks and we just never get to it is finally you all can meet Preston. And we're going to talk about Kim Kardashian's Christmas presents to her children and how PETA came after her. We'll be back right after this.
Thanks for streaming Wrong Way Forward, the weekly reminder that advice is usually free for a reason. We call out bad advice wherever it hides, boardrooms, break rooms, and even book clubs.
Enjoying this dumpster fire? Like, subscribe, and check back every Thursday for new episodes. Want us to roast your favorite piece of nonsense? Email us at wrongwayforwardpodcast@gmail.com. Be sure to include your contact info. We're not psychic, just judgmental. And now, back to Wrong Way Forward.
Roasting the worst advice ever. Welcome back to the Katy and Justin.
And we're back, and we finally, get to meet this dog that Justin has talked about. He might have pulled a Karen when the breeder said that he wasn't going to get the dog, if some of the listeners remember.
There was a lawsuit. There was about to be a lawsuit filed over the dog.
There we go.
This is Preston. Say it. No, look over here. Look over here. So she was asleep, so she's not in. But you can barely
And
see her 'cause
Preston
she's
has
black.
an interesting spelling.
Katy hates it because
I hate
this
it.
is how that would have gone. She would have come and been like, "Oh, grab the Montgomery Grip. Oh, she's cute. What's her name, Preston? How do you spell it? Just I think that's gross." That's how that would have gone.
I do.
Yeah.
I don't like I don't understand why you just didn't spell it Preston.
Because we're big fans of male, female names, like names that sound male but are female. And Preston was just too male, and so we did the YN to give it so that she'd be female when we take her to the vet and such.
There you go. It's kind
Nothing
of
bothers me
nouveau
more
riche to me.
I know you hate the nouveau riche.
It really does. I'm not a fan.
Yeah. Oh, we should do an future episode on that. Last thing we'll talk about in this block is Kim Kardashian gave her, I don't know if y'all saw this or not, Kim Kardashian was called out by PETA for gifting each of her 4 kids their own dog for Christmas. And they were 4 Pomeranian puppies. I'll put it up in the edit so you can see it. And PETA said, puppies are not plushies. Let me just tell you, I've had 4 dogs now. And they are a pain. This one has been the hardest. I mean, we're up at least once a night taking her out, maybe twice. She's just very high maintenance. So I forgot how hard it was to have a puppy. So this will be my last puppy. I will be rescuing if we decide to go further after this.
That's nice. Well, what do you think about this? Do you think that do you agree with PETA that she shouldn't have gifted each child a dog?
Yeah, I mean, I do. I think that, unless not all 4 kids wanted a puppy. So this was not something that was thought out. We planned for this dog for 2 years. Right. She obviously just wanted to do something that, probably made a splash on Insta. Yeah. But, maybe one of the kids wanted a puppy, but not all 4. But anyway, I think it's a little ridiculous.
I mean, I think it's probably a little ridiculous. I can tell you, I was having a conversation last night with 2 friends from law school. And then I know my brother's children are wanting a dog. I have known that every person whose child has ever wanted a dog has loved that dog, but has not done anything to raise, take care, or make sure that that dog stays alive. I mean, my guess on the back end is that Kim Kardashian has plenty of help, and those 4 dogs will be well-fed, well-walked, and well-cared for. But I do agree. I think it is dumb to gift a dog if someone doesn't want a dog. Because I do think, and we know this, it is well documented on this podcast. I have asthma. I'm not a big fan of animals. I'm allergic to most of them. I think you're a real jerk if you take in an animal and you don't want to love it and show it attention and give it, not just, food, shelter, but also actually love it. So I think that's really just dumb and tacky to gift something to someone that didn't want, particularly a living being that should be loved and cared for.
100%. And I know that because when she starts barking in her kennel at 12:30 in the morning and I have to get up in tidy whities and hair disheveled and take her out as I'm stumbling down the stairs without my contacts in, she gives me a kiss and it makes it worth everything. Okay, that's gross. Okay.
That's gross. And on that note, we just want to remind everyone, we love to hear any kind of feedback, but we also really, really love when y'all write in and give us your own Wrong Way Forwards. And then, so that is wrongwayforwardpodcast@gmail.com. And Justin?
And then we also are going to be talking to the author of this book, A Guide to Thriving, coming up. His name's John Rosenberg. And Katy, maybe you can just tease what that episode's about. So if anybody wants to grab the book, they can be ready to talk with us.
Really exciting. Justin and I both have purchased the book and are going to be reading that. So hopefully John will be on soon. The idea is how do you get past surviving and into thriving? And how do you take the agency that you have to create kind of an environment where you are, at your very best? So we're excited to have him. And he's going to really talk to us about what's the wrong way forward when you're trying to kind of get into that thriving space.
We'll have that in the next couple of weeks. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We'll see you next week on Wrong Way Forward.
All right, that's a wrap on this week's episode of Wrong Way Forward. Remember, the only thing worse than taking bad advice is giving it.
If you've liked what you've heard, like, subscribe, or follow us wherever you stream podcasts. And if you've got a topic or need some advice we'll probably regret giving, email us at wrongwayforwardpodcast@gmail.com.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Wrong Way Forward.